What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another PSGL video. I'm sorry about my voice. I am a little bit sick right now, so you have to deal with that for the next 20 minutes. But anyway, we are in Saudi Arabia. These are the stand-ins from Imola. For some reason, they didn't update Belgium yet. So whoever's on that, get on that. We want some updated stand-ins. But yeah, so Belgium's not on there yet. So we're still, I think it was 6th, 7th, 8th in the stand-ins or whatever. We're a very midfield driver. But we're coming into Saudi Arabia with, I wouldn't say we have high hopes. Very little practice, about half an hour of practice. We hopped on about half an hour before the race and pretty much rushed our way into finding a setup. And the setup we were using is not the greatest. As we run wide there, and you can kind of see we haven't had the practice we need. Like, the setup that I was using, the rear end was kicking out around every corner. It was very hard to control. And I just said, screw it, I've got to go with it, because that's the only setup I practice with. It's the only setup I know. And if I want a brand new setup for the race, then it's kind of like driving a completely different car as we run wide again. And this is not a good track either to have very little practice on. You're on a high-speed circuit where if you make one minor mistake, it could end your whole session. So we've got to be a little bit careful and almost just get a banker lap in, keep it out of the wall, and try and hit every apex as possible as, oh my goodness me, we get awfully close to the wall there. I tell you what, that was very, very close. Talk about precision. Look at this. As we come into the corner, I mean, that is millimeters. If you get that millimeter graphic from F1 in real life, you're talking 3-4 millimeters. But we're very, very close to that wall. And I tell you what, if that's a little bit more, if we turn in a 10th earlier, that's us out of the Grand Prix, out of the qualifying session and at the back of the Grand Prix, because it's such fine margins around Saudi Arabia, and you've got to get as close to the wall as possible if you want to gain the time. And on this that lap, we honestly just want to get a lap in, put a lap on the board, see where we compare to everybody else, and then really push it on the final lap, because the final lap, you could almost send it a little bit more if you've got that banker lap in. So we really want to put that banker lap in as we come around the final corner. It's not too bad. It's still a little bit unstable, struggling a little bit with the rear end, but up to the line, it's going to be a 28.1, puts us P9. You can see a 27.5 for P7. So we're a little bit off the pace right now, but we will have time to get another run in, maybe another 2 if we go out for a back-to-back flying laps as we're coming into the pits. Still got 6 minutes left. Plenty of time.
That looked bad. Are you alright? Let me know you're okay.
I mean, we could have a compilation of so many mistakes that we've made in qualifying. It's ridiculous. I mean, if it's not track limits, it's us putting it in the wall, going into the pits. I don't get it. We've done it on our out lap, we've crashed. We've done it in the pits now. Coming into the pits, we've crashed. We've had track limit problems. I mean, on our flying laps, we don't seem to crash it. But on our out laps and our in laps, we seem to put it in the wall. And I think that's just us not really paying attention, lack of concentration. I don't know what that was. I was just trying to see how fast I can go into the pits on low fuel mode. So I need to stay focused. It's going to be P12 for the race now. We could have probably started P10, maybe P9 on a solid lap, maybe P8 at maximum. So I guess good thing we got the banker lap in. But still, P12, not ideal. It's outside the points we're starting, and it's frustrating. It's not a good way to go into a race, crashing on low fuel mode coming into the pits. I mean, that doesn't really give you a good confidence boost like a perfect flying lap would at the end of the session. So very disappointing there. But starting P12, we're going to go from the hards to the mediums. It is a high tyre wear track, so we do not want to go onto the softs like the Red Bull behind, as it's 5 red lights and away we go in Saudi Arabia. It's not a bad start. It's actually a pretty good launch compared to the Aston Martin up ahead as we go for around the outside, trying to make a move, trying to break as late as possible. I think the Red Bull looking for a move around the outside of us, but we do have the race in line, and now side by side with the Aston Martin up into this left-hander. He's got the inside. We're almost going to have to give it to him, but we want to try and fight it around the outside, and I don't know why we did. We should have honestly just given it to him, because now we're lost the place to the Alpine, lost the place to the Red Bull, and we're almost at the back of the grid as the Alpines had a moment. We've took avoided action, and now we've been clipped by the McLaren behind. He's out of the Grand Prix. We've just about survived. We've got front wing damage, so we're going to have to change that. But thankfully, a safety car has come out And I do feel a little bit bad because the McLaren is out of the Grand Prix, but we've got to have a look back at this to see exactly what happened. You can see the Red Bull and the Alpine fighting ahead, and the Alpine makes contact with the Red Bull, has a little bit of a slide, and that's why we go off the track, because we didn't want to get caught up in that collision. And you see, we come back on. I mean, I had no idea he was there. So, you know, I feel bad, but at the same time, I didn't know he was there. And if you look at the McLaren's point of view, he kind of he sees us coming back on track. He has a couple of seconds to almost back out of it, lift that throttle, and avoid the crash. So I'd say yes, it's majority my fault, but at the same time, he could have certainly done better to avoid the crash. And in the end, he is out of the Grand Prix. We are still in it. We're gonna have to wait for what the stewards say about that one. Are the FIA going to get involved, or are they going to call it a lap 1 racing incident, as we are back underway? And I tell you what, we are getting notification from the FIA now, and they have given us a 5-second penalty. So that's a tough one to take, a tough pill to swallow. 5 seconds, especially around Saudi Arabia, when you're looking at DRS straights left, right and centre. It is a little bit frustrating and not ideal. We are down in P15 as well, so that could come back to haunt us, especially if there's safety cars late on and it bunches up the field. We could become a little bit frustrated and annoyed at that penalty, because we can't serve it in the pits as well, because it was actually given to us after the race. But for the video, we've put it in the race, as we do make 2 positions early doors. I think the Red Bull had front wing damage from a little bit of a battle with the cars up ahead, and the Ferrari of Alex decided to, I think he had a bit of contact with other people and spun it around. So I don't know what happened to them, but we'll take a couple of places. We've got ahead of the Aston Martin as well, and now we're kind of just running our race. We've got to try and make a few positions. The Alpine is the first car that we're going to come up against, who runs wide and struggling a bit with track limits, so we're going to try and take advantage of this. On the run down to the final corner, it's such a long straight. We didn't get DRS there. I don't think it's been enabled just yet. I think the next lap it will be enabled, so we're going to try and go for the move. Going to try and get a really good exit, use the DRS, use the slipstream, use the ERS, sorry, and the slipstream. DRS not yet activated, and we're going to try and make that move around the outside of the Alpine, dumping a bit of that ERS. We do have plenty to use, so we're going to go for it, brake as late as possible, and he does a smart thing, you know. He kind of sits behind us, doesn't send it down the inside, doesn't ruin our race, so fair play, you know. See, there's fast people in our league, there's slower people in our league, but a lot of them know how to race, which is kind of nice. I mean, if they're getting track limits left, right and centre, when they're side by side with another car, they kind of know how to race, which is nice, and it makes it more fun, because we're fighting for P11 against this Alpine right now. But I'll happily fight for P11 when the racing is fun like this, as he has got DRS now, so he's going to close on in really, really fast, and he is closing in at a rated notch, maybe thinking about a dive down the inside, but not quite yet, as we outbrake ourselves, go a bit too deep. That's going to give him the chance for the switchback, but we're going to work the ERS just to try and stay ahead, and it's a good little battle. It's a fun little battle. I mean, we all race in this league. Obviously, you want to win, but we all race just to have fun racing against other people, because the AI in this game, yes, it's good as we go wide, beach it on the curb. That's a bit unfair with the exceeded track limits. You know, that's a curb that you got to be careful with as well. Everybody beaches it on there if you go a little bit too hot into that corner. But as I was saying, you know, it's always fun to race other people, because the AI in this game, yes, they're fun to race against, but at the same time, it's almost a bit too easy. They just dive out of your way, or they dive bomb you, and it's not the same as the Alpines had a big moment there. And all this sliding from the Alpine is costing us big time. We've dropped about 2 to 3 seconds to the cars ahead. So we have to kind of break away from him now. We're kind of thinking about this. We need to break away. He's clearly struggling with his car. Maybe he's gone for the wrong setup. Maybe he's on a similar setup to us, because our setup was very slidey on the rear as well. And we're kind of reining it in, settling down a little bit. And I think we did add a bit of rear downforce to the setup to try and make it a little bit more stable. As he looks for a move around the outside, we defend down the inside. We've got the Aston Martin joining in the mix as well, so we've got a fun little 3-car battle for P11. This is great stuff. You've got to love this. As the Alpine now close enough, it's going to be an easy overtake for us. We could dump the ERS, but at the same time, I do want to save the ERS as he goes down the inside. We're going to try and get the better exit as he slides around that corner, and it's a really poor chicane from us. I mean, if we get a better exit out the second part of that chicane, then maybe we could have had a go at him back, but he gets ahead of us a little bit frustrating because he has costed us a bit of time, and it's hard to get out of his DRS range because of the 3 DRS zones around here. So we got to try and find a way, as he has a bit of a mistake right there. Runs wide again. FIA, get involved. I've seen him run wide 2 or 3 times. Where's the time penalties? I mean, I beat you on a curb, lose about 2 seconds, and they give me a warning. Makes no sense. So get involved, FIA. I'm not having this. And he's almost holding us up. So I think the next time we go for that move, next time we get past him, we are going to dump the ERS we have. We have 85%, plenty to use, and we might as well use it to get past him, because as of right now, we're just losing time to the cars in front, and it is costing our race. It is ruining our race, actually. So, oh, it's a pick over there from the Alpine. I don't know if he went in the wall or not, but he clipped the inside of the apex, and that's what I mean. That's what I was talking about in Saudi Arabia. If you want to maximize your time, you've got to get as close to that wall as possible. But if you get too close, it could be race ending, could be front wing damage, which is pretty much race ending, unless a safety car comes out. So you gotta pretty much measure it. Do you want to risk it to the point where you can get damage, or do you want to play it safe where you can just get to the end of the race and score a couple points? So that's what we're doing. We're giving ourselves room for error, margin for error, and if we do push it, we push it on a place where there's a bit of a runoff. So if we do make a mistake, then we do have that runoff to go into, like there, right there, beaching it onto that curb. That is the place where there is a bit of a runoff, where you can actually send it a little bit more, because if you do mess up, you know, you just keep going and you lose a bit of time, but you won't get any damage onto the car, especially as we're not on simulation damage. But we do have a few drivers behind us now, Zettini, Dorian, and these are the race leaders, or the net race leaders, shall we say. We're on really old medium tyres, and they're on fresh new mediums, fresh new hards, and they're trying to find a way past us, and we're not going to challenge them, we're not going to fight them, but I tell you what, we're not going to move out the way for them either. If they get past, they get past, fine, but we're going to run our own race, and we don't want to lose time, you know, so we're just going to keep doing our race. They're not involved in our race, so if they want to dump their ERS to zoom past us, that's fine. We're not gonna make it difficult for them, but at the same time, we're not gonna make it super easy where we just move out of the way. So there you go, the Ferrari goes through, as well as, woo, we brake late there, and a bit of sweat came off my forehead because I almost rear-ended that Ferrari, a bit like Baku, was it 2017, 2018 style between Verstappen and Ricciardo. Yeah, we almost sent him flying, so good thing we didn't. We braked just in time. Probably should have braked a little bit earlier. But yeah, so that Ferrari's through. And I tell you what, they're probably loving me right now because I'm holding up Nogueira, I'm holding up J. Cole, and I'm making this a 2-car battle for the race win instead of the 4 that it was. And it's a very difficult sector to overtake. So sorry to the Alpha behind and the Alpha Tauri, but I'm not moving out of the way just to let you guys pass. You know, I've got to run my own race. Down this straight, you can. Dump a bit of ERS. And sure, we're going to brake a little bit earlier. And the AlphaTauri goes through as well. But we want to go a little bit longer on these mediums, because we're going on to another set of mediums. We changed our strategy after that early incident to go from hard, medium, because the medium is a much better shout than medium, back onto a used set of hard. So into the pits now we come. 10 laps to go as we cross the line. 10, 11 laps. I mean, looking at it, unless a safety car comes out, I think we're looking at P9, maybe P10. And even if a safety car does come out, you've got to remember we've got that 5-second penalty looming over our heads for that first lap incident, which is still very frustrating. I think it was a little harsh for a lap 1 incident, but at the same time, I can understand it, because it did ruin his race. You know, he's out of the race completely. And but I do think it was a little bit avoidable. I mean, I couldn't see him. I didn't know he was there. He could see me coming back on the track. So it is what it is. It's racing. At the end of the day, it wasn't anything malicious. And the FIA made the decision, gave me the 5-second penalty. So we just have to get on with it as we come out the pits in P11. And we just got to look to push a little bit as we're closing on in to the Haas up ahead. I don't know how to say his name, so we're just going to call him the Haas. But it's a 1.5 second gap, and he pitted really early onto those hards. I don't think he realised how bad the degradation is around here. So he is struggling on those hard tyres. Probably around 40 to 50% wear right now on lap 18. So he is definitely struggling, especially with us on fresh mediums. It's going to be a pretty easy overtake. I think he's had a really bad strategy call here, because I don't think he was too slow. I think he just pitted early, went for the undercut, and yeah, it is certainly not worked, because we've closed in very, very easily, and we're going to make this overtake very, very simple as well. We're going to find a way past him down the straight, as easy as can be, and we're going to push as well to get out of his DRS. So you can see the Alpine of Samuel up ahead, 4.4 seconds ahead. I think we've had a couple of good battles with him in the past, and he's a decent driver. So if we could close on in to him, we could have a fun little battle towards the end of the race. We've got 6 laps to go. We've got to get ourselves a 5-second gap to the car behind, which I believe should be pretty straightforward, and that'll give us a point here in Saudi Arabia. And the Alpine up ahead, if we could close on in and get a 5-second gap to him, then who knows, we could come home with 2 points here in Saudi, as he has made a mistake, and you can see it's 1.5 second gap to the Alpine. We were closing in already because we are on fresher mediums, and now he's just made it a little bit easier for us. So we're going to push, get into that DRS zone, and then we can make the move and try and pull out that 5-second gap to the Alpine up ahead and come home with a P9. P9 is most certainly on the cards. Any higher is not, unless there's a mistake from drivers up ahead. You see that Mercedes, he is 12 seconds up the road from us. Yes, he does have, is that a 3-second penalty? I think it's a 3-second penalty, but we have that 5-second penalty. So we would need to overtake him and then create a 2-second gap, which is not going to happen within the 6 laps. So the Alpine is our main competition. He doesn't know we have a 5-second penalty, so he will be defending for his life as we try and close that gap down to him. We see him using his ERS, so we're going to back out a little bit and just use the DRS to close on him to scare him, because we don't want to dump the ERS just yet. When we make the move past him, that's when we want to dump the ERS. This is a beautiful switchback on the chicane. That's what we wanted to do earlier on the Aston Martin, I believe, as we go for a move around the outside, and we do play it safe. Make sure we make the corner. He has the inside line, so there's no point trying to hold it around the outside, and now we're just pressuring him, trying to force him into a mistake as he beaches it on the curb. I mean, we kind of beached it onto the curb as well. See you later. And a safety car is out. I mean, originally I thought it was the Alpine, but it is not. It is the Ferrari up ahead of Dorian. He's made a big mistake, so he is out of the race. The safety car is out, and that's not good for us. 5 laps to go. We've got a 5-second penalty. We'll maybe have 2 to 3 laps of racing. We've got to go ham on those 2 to 3 laps. And everybody pretty much has come in for a fresh set of softs, because why wouldn't you? You got 2 laps to go, and a fresh set of softs is much better than a used set of mediums. But this is very frustrating for us. At the time, I kind of thought a penalty was coming our way, just because of the incident. It was a lap 1, and there was contact. So I kind of thought there was a penalty. So I knew that we had to create a gap to the cars behind. I knew we had to get going, and we only had 3 laps to do it. As we get back underway behind the safety car, we've got the Mercedes up ahead, who is decent. So we're going to try and almost push him along, say hurry up, we need to get away from the cars behind, and hope there's a little battle from behind between the Haas and the Alpine, just so we can create that gap to even score 1 point now. I mean, 1 point would be a good result, because yeah, 11th place is a second behind us, so we need to find pretty much 4 seconds in 3 laps, which is not going to be easy unless there's quite a bit of battling up ahead. Could we maybe find a move on the Mercedes driver ahead? If we can, that'll be kind of helpful, but at the same time, we don't want to battle and slow ourselves down, so we're just going to let him hold the race in line. Keep going. Come on, mate. Move it along. We need you to keep going. We want a P8. A P8 is possible, but we need to find time, and it doesn't look like it. Coming on to the last lap, you can see we've got 6 tenths to the Alpine behind. We've got 1.2 seconds to the Haas behind. A little bit more to P11, but we've really got to push it on this final lap if we want to get P10. I mean, I think there's only about 2 seconds to P11.
Out of fuel. The car ahead has run out of fuel. Come on, let's go.
And you can hear there, the car ahead is run out of fuel. When I'm looking at him, Mark, I'm looking at him, mate. He is not out of fuel. He is just dandy. He keeps going along. This is ridiculous. We're chucking down ERS and we're not closing in on him. So the car ahead is clearly not out of fuel just yet. I think the engineer is telling me porkies. If he is out of fuel, He's had an absolute nightmare. There's been 2 safety cars. How has he not saved enough fuel? As we're coming up into the corner, you can see the Mercedes is slowing down just randomly. Thankfully, he ghosts because that was very nerve-wracking. But that's the Mercedes gone. So maybe there is a chance to potentially get points. You've got the Aston Martin behind the Ferrari. So you've got the Ferrari in P10, the Aston Martin a little bit further behind. If we could maybe pull out another second or 2, we could walk away with just a single point here in Saudi Arabia. But every point counts as we're dumping the ERS as much as we can. I guess we'll take a P10 at this rate. So around, coming down the last corner, you can see the 3 cars up ahead. They're all battling. They've all got time penalties, which is a little bit frustrating because we're going to jump ahead of them in the standings, up to the line, using all the ERS. Where do we finish? It's P4 after all their track limit penalties are applied. But it's going to be P10 for us after we get that 5-second penalty. You can see that P4. That would have been a huge haul of points. But instead, it's going to be P10, and that is devastating. For a lap 1 incident, 5 seconds is tough. I mean, without the safety car, we wouldn't have finished P4. But it's frustrating because we're good at staying out of situations, and this is what has cost us. I mean, he's clipped our back rear. We've been on the track for a couple seconds. I can't see him. I think he could have done a lot better as well there. So he's got to take some blame. Probably more on me. Maybe I could have rejoined at a better point. But yeah, I was surprised that he didn't back up a little bit. But anyway, we'll take a P10, I guess. We'll take that 1 point. It could have been 8, but it's only 1 point. We stay, we drop to 9th in the standings. It's a nice little battle in there for a potential top 5 finish. But we need a good last few performances if we want that. We'll see you next week in Mexico. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.